What is the power of SEO in high-ticket dropshipping? That is the discussion we are going to start to peel back the layer of the onion of uh, in a little bit of a different episode today. As you can see, I've got a guest here. It's Lisa Whalen. I'll get to her in a second. Um, if you are new to the channel, subscribe for daily high-ticket dropshipping content. In 2025, I've tasked myself with the challenge of uploading a new video about high-ticket dropshipping every single day. And that's going to include screen shares. It's going to be just streams of consciousness about the business model that is high-ticket dropshipping. And it's going to be podcasts like we're doing here today. If you're someone that is serious about building a high-ticket dropshipping business in 2025, I recommend checking out our program. The link is in the description below. We are a couple of days away from actually releasing our 2025 high-ticket dropshipping program. It's called High Ticket Masterclass 2.0. High Ticket Masterclass 1.0 is currently linked in the description. If you get it currently at the current price, you'll be grandfathered in at no additional cost. But once the new course goes live, the price will go up and that will go away. So if you want to save some money and you are serious about doing this, I would say get in now, and we're looking forward to working with you. But I'd say that's kind of a perfect segue into introducing not only my guest, but my co-instructor in High Ticket Masterclass 2.0. This is Lisa Whaley, and I'll just kind of give a quick background. I'll let her speak for herself. But as far as how we got connected, Lisa actually initially joined my course several months ago. But having worked with her, and meeting her and talking with her over the last several months, it turns out she is an SEO expert in every sense of the word. And she brings over 20 years of SEO experience. And so, Lisa, I will allow you to actually speak for yourself and tell everybody everything about you. What is
Yeah.
there to know about Lisa Whaley?
Well, wow. Thanks for that introduction. Yeah. So, as Joe said, I've been doing SEO for a really long time, ever since I can remember when I started my digital marketing journey back in, I would say, I think it's back in 2003. I think I remember being in my first little job running a website when barely
So was
any
that right
businesses.
at the tail end? Was that right at the tail end of the dot-com bubble?
Yeah, yeah. It was just an odd time. It was like nobody had websites. I was part of the
Mm-hmm.
marketing department for like this vegetable company over on the Central Coast because I live in California.
Mm-hmm.
And my job was to monitor emails that came in from this website, right? And I remember thinking how cool it was because not a lot of businesses had websites at that point, or they were just getting really popular. So, anyways, little did I know that where I'd end up today with the whole thing. But so I remember starting with email automations using there's what was it, IntelliContact or something. I think that's what it was, and then it moved, or Constant Contact, and then it just started evolving. So those email autoresponders, as they used to call them, started way back
Sure.
then, and then it just kind of evolved from then. And I remember probably one of the jobs that got me into really heavily into what I'm doing now with the SEO, and was working at Yellow Pages. I started working with a lot of the small business owners, and I got hired as a search engine marketing manager because at that point I had several years of experience, but I would go and help small business owners, local business owners, you know, with SEO and pay-per-click marketing, Google Ads, all that kind of stuff. So, been doing a lot, and obviously a lot's changed over the years, but it's been a fun ride. Then I found Joe, and it's been even, I seem to evolve. My career seems to evolve in different types of business assets. Done a lot of freelance work, lots of freelance writing. Yeah, so it's been kind of all over the place. And then, of course, a couple years ago, AI comes in the picture and changes everything. So,
It changes everything, to say the least.
oh, yeah.
And that's great foreshadowing for what we'll get into in later episodes.
Yes. Yes.
But so it's safe to say, as far as your background, the common denominator has always been search engine optimization. And
Yes,
so,
that.
yep, and so I don't know my full audience as far as what their experience level is with e-commerce or SEO. And for me, I've been doing high ticket drop shipping for about half a decade now. And it really hasn't been until within the last year that I've developed a new respect for SEO that I didn't have previously.
Right.
Because like many others that get into this business model, get into it with the intent of getting immediate results or having the potential for immediate results. And what that means is really only focusing on paid advertising to get paid traffic, which it works. It does work. But the problem is it's volatile. Competition is a lot more volatile in the PPC space than it is in SEO. You can rise to the top really quickly on the PPC side of things, and it's a much slower rise on the SEO side of things. But the
Yeah.
other edge of that sword is once you're there, it's a lot slower fall versus a new competitor coming into the PPC space and taking up all of the Google Ads auction. So
Yeah.
once you make
Yeah.
it, you've got a really sticky asset on your hands. And so maybe I'll start by asking this question, because I've always kind of had my notions of what SEO actually is. You know, in my course, I've always taught, in the first course, that is, not the new course that we've got coming out. I've taught the basics from, like, you got to have alt texts on your images. They've all got to be the same size. You should mention a certain keyword however many times on a page. And you should have like a relatively fast website. And if you do all that, you've done SEO. But that is hardly scraping the surface of what SEO actually is. So I'll stop talking and I'll ask you the question: what actually
Yeah.
is search engine optimization, and what does it actually encompass?
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a good question. Yeah. Well, and what you said is not wrong. It's just like a small piece of the puzzle because
Hmm.
there's so many facets to it, and that's what's amazing, and it's constantly changing. When I'm talking to somebody that doesn't know, that's first getting into it or first jumping into SEO, I like to break SEO up into three different main components. What you were describing is something called it's considered on page SEO. It's all the things you can do on the page, like optimizing your image sizes and adding alt text and anchor text and keyword optimization and H1 and H2 title tags. And there's some other really definitive like things that go into that. But that's all considered on page SEO. And then there's something called off page SEO. So, off page SEO is just a fancy way of saying link building. And I don't
Sure.
know, again, the extent of the viewership, that term, how, if anybody's heard of that or how they know it, but link building is the most important part of the SEO strategy. Probably this. Well, I would say it's argued it's maybe the second most important, but it's very very close because without link building, you can't rank a site. I'll say that. And that's one of the things that you'll in this course is really nice because it talks a lot about that and how you can build inbound links to your website. Because you want to think of inbound links as a vote to your website.
And just to
And
clarify for the viewership, when you're saying an inbound link, you literally mean a link on somebody else's website that is linking to your website.
yes, yes, yes. Yeah, you're trying to get as many inbound links from other websites, high quality, reputable websites to come into your site. And that's why blogging, right, is really important because it helps increase your authority and your trust and your credibility, right? All those keywords you hear about that are so important when you're competing against, 10, 20 or 50 other stores, online stores that are selling the same thing you are, right? So
Yep.
it's super, super important that portion of it. So off page or link building, that's the other part. And then the final part is your technical SEO. So that's where now we're talking about, now we're going basically pulling back the cover and looking at the back end of the website. We're looking at various aspects like, and I don't want to get too in depth, but it has to do with crawling and indexing and rendering and things like robot.txt files and broken links and 404 redirects and 301, right? I mean, it gets more, it kind of, when I start talking about these really odd terms, or people get a little scared and stuff, but there's really neat tools out there now that
I'm
if you've
I'm
never.
scared myself, by the
Yeah,
way.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I was too. I mean, it's tough. Technical SEO, like a lot of times what people will do that are like maybe beginner SEOs, or they're not real comfortable with it. They understand the link building and how important it is to get links to their Shopify stores or their websites or whatever. And and they understand the on page, right? And then they'll outsource the technical piece to some coder guy or some guy who knows coding really well and can, but
Right.
it doesn't have to be that way. And we do definitely have a part of the course. We have the section or the chapter on technical SEO that goes over the basics and gives some tools and things like that can really help. Because you'd be surprised how little bit of work goes a long way to helping your site, your Shopify store rank. Because you have to think about it too. Think about, just because you don't know what it is, think about all the other people just like yourself who might not know what it is. And so if you do just a little bit more than the other guy who's in your niche, that might be the difference between you ranking in number 8 as opposed to number 4 for a particular keyword. So
Absolutely.
anyways, so
And
there's definitely
I
multiple facets to SEO.
absolutely. And so for myself, like when I got started in this whole thing,
Uh-huh.
the common, I guess, notion with SEO that turned me away from it was just the long-term play of it. Not that I don't want a long-term revenue generating asset that organically ranks. It's like, boy, if I could have that today, wouldn't that be great? But the problem
Yeah.
is with SEO, you don't know if what you've done has worked until maybe several months down the road.
Mhm.
So I guess what can you speak to as far as that goes? Like, how do you know what you're doing is actually working? When will you know it? And what
Mhm.
do you need to do in order to change it over time to make it work?
Yeah, no, that's a good question.
And it's a
So
broad question, I realize.
it is. Yeah, so let me try. So one of the first things that everybody will learn in the course is the tool that we use is SEMrush, and you'll be able to create a project in there with your website, with your Shopify store, and literally you'll learn how to do all the keyword research and figure out all the keywords that you want to rank for, right? And you can set up a project and you can literally track and find out. So like in our case for quick equipment or right for sale, that might be a keyword you want to rank for. You can literally put it in and track your site and see what number that particular page is being ranked for, your site is being ranked for, and you can watch it like go up and up and up and up and up, or it might go down and then it might go up, and it might, like, you can see that. And it's funny because you might be ranked number 92 in the search result, but it'll show that number. I think it does. I think SEMrush doesn't go past 100 or something. Like if you're not ranking the top 100, it just kind of like doesn't even give you a
Sure.
number. But that's how you track it, and you can see how you're doing for a specific keyword. So that's kind of fun to watch. And I just talked about link building. You will literally see a direct correlation between the number of links that start coming into your website and the positions that your site ranks for. So it's kind of like how fast can you build those links, and because you can see it, you can just literally watch it. So that's one thing. So you're always probably, I would say, on, I remember I'm like crazy. You get kind of obsessed with SEO, right? I get really obsessed with it. So like you said,
Sure.
you're like, oh, you're
So, yeah,
trying really, really hard. Yeah, you can
there
get really
there are some
obsessive
people
over it.
there's some people that just want to slay the SEO dragon. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's just their end mission in life is to just conquer SEO. And it's
Oh,
so interesting to me.
well, and it's changed so much too. Like one of the things, like I think you said it earlier, is that you know I hear a lot of kind of chatter around the high ticket dropshipping community, and I always hear things like, "Man, I wish I would have started doing SEO from day one." Like because
Yes.
and that's what's so awesome about you, Joe, is that you're allowing, me the opportunity to come in and talk about SEO because it's so important. Not only is it super competitive, like you mentioned, in the Google shopping ad space, but
Hmm.
profitability long term, why
Well,
not?
yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off because to speak to your point, had I properly developed my SEO, even, you know, if I had done 50% more, had I known what I was doing, had I like had actual direction of what to do from day
Yeah.
one, and I developed it over the course of 2.5, 3 years, I could have sold my first business for probably twice as much
Oh, absolutely.
easily. I can't harp on this enough. If you have an organically ranking website that doesn't solely rely on paid traffic, even if let's say you have two websites right next to each other. One of them makes $10,000 a month. The other makes $10,000 a month as well in net profit. Site A has only PPC. It's only getting paid traffic. Site B is only getting organic traffic. It's like you can sell site B for twice as much as site A every single day of the week because, like I said, once you've gotten to that point, once you've made it into the ranking club, it's really hard to get kicked out of it. It's a lot easier to get kicked out of the Google Ads club.
Oh, yeah, right. No, yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, the staying power is much longer, they're much better because yeah, and it's and I think about too the whole drop shipping model, and you're in your competition. Like when we were looking and doing competition or looking at competitors in the niche and the forest attachment niche, there's a ton of them, right? So how do you, and you always want to think, how do you set yourself apart, right, from your competitors? How are you supposed to sell the same exact brand that somebody else is selling? Well, it's going to come down to value and how much value you can provide. That's one thing. Can you provide more value to the people who land on your site than your competitor's site? What kind of offers do you offer, compared to your competitors? What are some of those things? And the other thing is, that's for me. I think that's when, for me, SEO really, I got really obsessive with SEO years ago when I started doing like freelance writing, because I used to do a lot of blogging. And man, as soon as if you could get a blog post to the first page of Google, or to the, first top spots, man, you can just get a ton of traffic. And especially if you're doing like affiliate, like a lot of people are doing Amazon affiliates programs and stuff, and just constantly pumping out material. It's so beneficial. So if you're in a niche, whatever niche you're in, I don't care if it's jacuzzis or if you're providing a ton of content and making it easier, making it better, helping the person make a buying decision by the content that you're providing to them through your blogs. That kind of stuff is really, really valuable in establishing the trust and credibility that they need to want to buy from you when it comes down to that.
Absolutely.
Because the buying cycle's a lot different than, or it's longer, I should say, because it's a higher
Yes.
ticket. So those blogging is good for those people that are in that middle of the funnel stage where they're starting their research also. And you'll be surprised how much, and I talk about this a little bit, how much I notice collection pages on Shopify sites get ignored, or they don't get optimized well enough, when those are actually really important entry points into a Shopify store. Like, I think people focus too much. I mean, that's not bad to focus on product, but they neglect the collection pages.
Absolutely. And I'm guilty of that too.
Yeah, and there's things I talk about in the SEO chapter. It's about that. There's just a couple little things. Again, if you can do just a little bit more than your competitor in terms of collection pages, you outrank them.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. And so you're talking, and it kind of made me think about a question that I have is like, is SEO, so let's say not all niches are created equal. Everybody knows this. And if for those that are listening, if you followed my channel for a long time, you know that your niche is unequivocally the most important aspect of your high ticket dropshipping business, both from an advertising standpoint and from an organically ranking standpoint. So obviously we go pretty in depth with niche selection in the course. For someone that, let's say they took another program, and there's so many programs out there that just kind of suggest that, you can, as long as it meets the price point, as long as it's a high ticket item, you can make this work. It's just kind of a plug and play strategy. And I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, if someone were to start trying to sell, let's use the classic example of saunas. How difficult is it even worth making an effort to rank organically for saunas?
yeah. Well, I think there is a couple ways to approach it. So first of all, yeah, keyword research is going to be very, very important in any niche that you choose, right? But saunas, yeah, because obviously you think it's already saturated, right? There's a ton of people already in it. So I could go to SEMrush right now and pull up the money keywords like, you know, XYZ sauna brand for sale, right? And you could
Hmm.
see the keyword difficulty might be like a 70 or an 80 even or a 60, right? When you see that kind of stuff, yeah, it's going to be extremely difficult or if not impossible. Now, if your site is newer or have if you haven't been doing any link building and your domain authority is a 5 or God forbid it's a 0 right now. And we'll show everybody
Right.
how to figure that out. But you are going to have no chance of beating or outseating that guy who's already in the top. And that could go for a lot of those, quote unquote money keywords. Now, that's not to say that the guy who's sitting at the top, you can't outseat him eventually, right? You might take our advice and start just pushing out a ton of blog posts and building a ton of backlinks, right? And have the ability to get up there and get right behind him. He might be in the first spot, you're in the fifth spot, right? Or the sixth spot. But in terms of is SEO, so that's in terms of niches, you're going to have definitely those niches that are like that have major players that there's no way you're going to beat those guys, right? Um, in terms of is SEO different for like e-commerce versus a regular e-commerce or a local business or whether it's definitely there's differences in how you do SEO. There's different SEO strategies if you're an e-commerce store versus just a local business like a plumber versus if you're just a blogger like a stay-at-home blogger and you're like a mom who has some kids and she has a mommy blog or whatever. So, and
Right.
there's
Right.
definitely differences and there's overlaps too. So obviously for Shopify or e-commerce stores, I mean it could be WooCommerce, it could be something another platform, but you're not optimizing for product titles and product descriptions on a blog, right? But the principles are the same, but so it's different in that sense in terms of the type of pages that you're optimizing for. I still have to make sure my images have alt image text on it, whether it's a blog or a Shopify store or a local plumber, right? I still have to make sure I have H1, H2, H3 optimized title tags. I still have to, there's some things like that. Um, but the emphasis on Shopify stores or e-commerce stores is going to be much more, on those product pages and stuff. So
Absolutely.
I don't know if that helped answer that question. Um,
No, it does. But I think what it tells me is if you're getting into this space, I
yeah,
think your efforts are better spent going after niches or industries where you're just going to have an easier start.
I figured
Where,
that's what you were getting at. Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, because at the end of the day, it's like I've had several hundred members go through my program over the last couple of years.
Hmm.
And the number one reason that people fail is because they choose the wrong niche. People are starting this with limited budgets. People are starting this with, and part of this is my fault because I've never taught SEO in my program, but
Yeah.
now I have an SEO expert in my corner here with me,
Yeah.
and so the problem is it's like you only have, let's say, $1,000 per month to spend on Google Ads, which equates to roughly $33 per day.
Yeah.
That's only going to get you so far.
Yeah.
If you're not, if you're in a niche where you're selling massage chairs or fitness equipment, where it's like you're just going to get blown out of the water unless you get lucky.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the whole
Yeah.
point here is you need to work smarter, not harder, in this model. And I think I'll close our first conversation of many here with this. It's like that is kind of the exact thing that we're preaching and teaching and uh, and working through in the course that we put together, is to work smarter in this, not harder. Well, there's always going to be a level of intuition that goes with choosing a niche or running any sort of business, and there's always going to be there's always going to be a level of luck as well. But we pretty much use every smart tool at our disposal, from SEMrush to SpyFu, to the deep dives that we do into just different competitor websites, and
Yeah.
the in-depth chat GPT prompts that we use to get our initial brainstorming ideas for niches, and for you for content writing. So there's a lot in 2025 that's way different from when I got started half a decade ago. Biggest thing is AI, and we've kind of done our best, if I'll speak for both of us here, to harness this and put it into a digestible format, to make something that generates 6 figures of monthly revenue online with high ticket drop shipping. So again, this is the first of many episodes about search engine optimization and about how it's so powerful for high ticket drop shipping. We wanted to keep this high level because, as you just listened to and as we just spoke about, there's so many different directions where we could talk for 4 hours about any one of these things, from link building to technical SEO. It's kind of a vast world that up until this past year was largely undiscovered by me, which I didn't even realize. So, Lisa, I'll wrap this up here. I'll say I'm so thrilled to have you as a co-instructor in this. And right now, as we're recording this, it is January 26th. We'll keep the current price open for a couple more days, and then at that point, the price is going to go up when our target date of releasing this is January 30th. And I'm also on baby watch. So we're sitting on a ticking time bomb. My wife is 38 weeks pregnant. It could be an hour from now. It could be several days from now. It could be 2 weeks from now when we're rushing to the hospital. But I'll be doing my best to keep putting out daily high ticket drop shipping content. So if you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff. Let us know in the comments what you want us to talk about that we didn't cover today. Makes my life a lot easier when I don't have to think of ideas for content. So without further ado, we'll wrap that up, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.